What is up, everybody? The kayak slayer is finally finished. Just got a few cosmetic things left. Put the stickers on, put the trolling motor on, hook up the battery, and take it out to the lake and see if it floats. We just got a little bit on this part of the video to show the finishing parts to the boat, and then the other half of the video was me out on Lake Mobile Falls to make sure that it works and get everything going. Did get some little bit of fishing in. We caught 11, and we also caught a freshwater drum. That was a nice size. It wasn't nothing to brag about, but anyways, this is it for the kayak slayer. Enjoy. All right, so we're working on the trolling motor. We got it in. Excited to put it on, and had to have a little patience with it. Never installed it on John boat like this before with this mount, so happy that I got it on there and got it tightened up, and thank Tiny Boat Nation for the bracket that holds this trolling motor to a John boat. And just kind of showing what I've done so far. Nothing spectacular here, just showing that I've got it mounted on there. Not quite sure how I'm gonna lay it out or where I'm gonna put the foot pedal yet, but that's pretty much how I got it. We got to put the side brackets back on. So and we're sitting here testing it out. It looks like it works just fine. Cable steering works. Ran the wiring straight to my 60 amp fuse. I didn't use like a plug or anything. I just ran the wire directly to the fuse. So if there's any problems, it'll just pop that fuse, and that fuse can pop off and cut the power to the trolling motor if I ever need to do that for whatever reason. And here we have it. It's completely done and installed and stored away, ready to be traveling to the lake. Just kind of show a walk around the boat a little bit. There's my storage hatch and the handle I put in, and this is one of my favorite parts, is how am I going to store rods? Well, from there to there, I needed a way to keep rods off the deck, and that's kind of where my rods stay. So there's no rods on the deck. They're on the side part of the boat, and I was able to fit 6 rods. Now, I had 2 spin cast rods that take up a lot of room, so probably could fit more if you had bait casters or some sort of smaller rods that are more smaller profile. And that's the back of the boat. On that far left side, I have a plan to put a portable depth finder. There's a company out there that makes portable depth finders that you can mount to the side of the boat, and it works just fine. And then you use an app on your phone to get temperature, depth, and whatever the terrain is. Then we have LED lights, and then there's the seat bracket and the electrical panel that I was really excited about, one of the harder parts of this boat. And we come around to the front, just doing a check on the lights. Got some LED lights up there, and the seat I borrowed from my father-in-law just to have something for this trip. Probably get a newer one eventually. And that's the front, and a little bit raised. Got everything ready to go. Hopefully. It's been a while. Alright, we're at the diesel station getting diesel for the truck. Local stripes in the neighborhood. Hey. Oh, the sun's starting to come up. We made it here. That's the ramp there. Need a little bit of daylight. Our light's working. All right, so I didn't trust this ramp. Just hadn't been there. Hadn't been there during the day to see what it looked like, so that's why I got out to make sure I was backing this down into the water and not hitting the wall. I've been at plenty of ramps and backed down plenty of them, but you know, it was just that one time to make sure that you get it right, make sure that you get the boat in the water, not running it up on something else, because that does happen. All right, so here we are, just standing up in the boat. I was fishing top water because there was a lot of shad in here, a lot of bait balls that were on the very top of the water, and just wasn't really having any luck. I just kind of want to show you that I'm standing up and fishing in this boat without the seat. I eventually moved to the seat just because I felt that it worked really well with the foot control, but it's pretty stable. I didn't have any issues here, but I am in smooth water, so it's a lot easier standing up in this than in kayak. So I switch off the top water and switch right to a Ned rig, and first cast, boom, there's a fish right on a Ned rig. And the first fish was the best fish of the day. You know, go figure, right? So it was 1.5 pounds, and I caught him in front of a culvert there that's underneath the bridge. I'll show you here in a minute where I'm talking about, but it drops off in front of that culvert just by looking at it. Oh, there he is right there. We weighed him. He was 1.5 pounds. So fortunately, he was the biggest fish of the day. There he is right there. Not a bad fish. Let me take a figure, whatever. Anyways, there's a culvert I caught him in front of, and this don't catch any fish here, or I think I do, but I'm just going to go through it just to show you the versatility of this boat and how it fits through this culvert and the size of the culvert and just the area that I was fishing at the time. This is Johnson Park. I think that's what it's called, Johnson Park in Marble Falls, and nice community. A lot of people walking around, walking their dogs. Some of them barked, but that's all right. And here we are going through the tunnel. A lot of spider webs. And there were bats out there. Just got to be careful. Don't get into a black widow or something like that. But as we come out to the other side, it started shallowing up, and I didn't know this until I checked it because I don't have a depth finder yet. But I was looking at it, and I casted, and my bait hit the bottom immediately. I was like, nah, maybe it's just the shoreline. It's real shallow right up in there. But as I started reeling back to the boat, a fish hit it. So I was like, okay, maybe I got something here. It probably drops off somewhere in here, this creek channel, right by this culvert, and the fish hit it right by the boat. So it didn't hit it over there by the bank. So I did do a depth check with my rod just to see, and as I got closer into that creek, it started shallowing up. And so I was like, I better cast back towards the culverts. That's where I had the 2 bites, and I could tell immediately that it got a little deeper because of the time frame that it took my lure to hit the bottom. Fishing with that Ned rig, you just let it hit the bottom and let it sit, and it does its own little thing. And fish hit it, and it was another little small one, but they were there. I caught 4 out of this canal right by that culvert. So just the bigger ones wasn't around either. They were just not aggressive, or so I come out of that culvert and moved out towards the middle of that creek channel and started picking up on some deeper areas and pockets in that channel. The middle of that channel was a little deeper, so I thought maybe if I just try and find some structure or something down there, some rock and some boulder, but let that Ned rig do its thing. But here comes the sun. It's a beautiful sunrise right there in Marble Falls, right at the park. And they had this area that they kind of a step step up where there was grass, and they were mowing that. It was beautiful green grass. The sprinkler system did come on and water that. But here he is, and he got off, and I was just like, little bitty guy, didn't really care. Just kind of popped him off of there. And here we are out in the main lake. We came out in the main lake just to check it out. And the fish I were catching was on rock. I tried fishing docks. I tried fishing the brush lay down and all that. And the rest of my fish that I caught that was not in that canal was all on rock, all on the rock, the like boulders, or where there was rock, there was at least one fish. And just kind of disappointed I didn't catch anything else on other than the rock. So that was the pattern I had. Still fishing with a Ned rig. I did try other lures, jigs and jerk baits. And I tried a wacky worm. That's usually a go-to for me. Just didn't deliver. All my fish came on Ned rig. It's a very finessey style fishing. I have a spin cast with an 8-pound test on there, and it's 8-pound fluorocarbon Berkeley Vanish. And you try to get away with the lightest jig head you can fish with, the lightest one you can fish with based off current conditions and how deep you want to fish. So it's probably a 1/16, something like that, 1/8 ounce jig head. I think it's somewhere between there. And I have that TRD special. It's just like a 2.5 inch, 3 inch Cinco looking lure. And it's just a stick, but it floats, so it stands straight up off the bottom and represents crawfish. So here we are, and you can see there's a bluff there. You see the rock, and I casted right at the base of it. And I just kind of hopped it as I started feeling where the rock was at and whatever else was down there. I just kind of hopped it along those rocks because it seemed like it was pretty deep there. It took a while for my lure to hit the bottom. So as it finally got to an area that I can get it to where it would work properly, I ended up pulling a fish off these bluffs. I think I pulled a couple of fish off these rock bluffs, but nothing spectacular. I actually caught a drum, but unfortunately I didn't get the video of that. I had a video error for some reason when I checked it. I tried to upload it, and it just kept giving me an error. So I was done messing with that. Just don't have the time to tinker with an error message on videos. Pulled him up, and it was a pretty fish, just no size. And they're there. The bigger ones are there. They're just not feeding.
So we came out to the main lake. Caught 4 in that.
We're fishing, and we just kind of wanted to see how different things worked on my boat.
These houses.
To try and get accustomed to it. So I'm just kind of messing around and looking around the lake and just enjoying the scenery. And here we are, just running it at half throttle. It's got to get broken in, so these Mercury motors, you got to break them in. You can't just floor it all the way back and forth, because it'll burn up that motor if you don't break it in properly. This is an hour on half and an hour 3/4, and then the rest of the time, for a little bit, you got to make sure that you don't run it full throttle longer than 5 minutes, or else it'll burn up that motor. So. All right, so there you have it. It floats, but it's not the boat, it's the fisherman. We caught 11. The biggest one was 1.5 pounds, and the rest were dinks, and caught a drum. Just the dinks were more aggressive today than the lethargic bigger ones. It was pretty hot. Just happy that it floats, and happy that my project works the way it should. I've never really done a video like this where I'm gonna thank people, so at this time I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the people that were involved and made this happen. First, I'd like to thank God for giving me the opportunity to do this. It took me longer than expected than what I was planning on doing, but He taught me to have patience and finish it through. And some things just happen to have in His perfect timing to complete this. I'd also like to thank my wife, who put up with me for the time and all the evenings and mornings and weekends that I spent time working on this project and dealing with me with the frustrations that I had, and the ideas I would try to put forward and then just didn't work out and get frustrated. So I'd like to thank my parents for pushing me to finish things and give me the opportunities I had in my life to kind of understand what I was doing and give me the suggestions on what I needed to do to get this done. And I'd like to thank my father-in-law for allowing me to use his tools in his tool shed to make this happen. Without that, this project would be still underway, still being done. And then I'd like to thank Tiny Boat Nation for answering my phone calls and answering my emails, giving me suggestions on what to do and how I needed to do to finish that project and give me the equipment I needed. Anyways, that's it for the Kayak Slayer project, and we had fun with it. Thank y'all.